first and the largest of the lot is a company I've always been very excited about, heavily invested in personally, and that is Visa, okay? It's a global payment technology company. Remember, it appears on the cards, but it's not a bank. It is not in the business of lending money. What it does is it owns the network that connects the points of sales to the devices, to the customers, to the banks, and switches all of those payments. And that's around the world. They recently bought out their European subsidiary. They're expanding in China, so they literally will be everywhere. It's got a market cap of $190.55 billion. It's a big boy. Price to earnings ratio 30.86. That's thanks to a very, very strong record of rising profits over the years. Dividends, not so juicy, but that's what you'd expect with a high growth type operation, 0.70%. So a lot of people worry that Visa is sort of getting bypassed by the sort of apps and what have you, but in fact they sit underneath Apple Pay and underneath almost all of the payment systems that occur on the web and on the point of sale systems.
No, you're quite right, Paul. And this is a marvelously adaptive company. It's been able to adapt to the changing conditions. You go back to its genesis, I think back in the 1960s, it was cards, and then, you know...
And it was a partnership of the banks.
Yes. Absolutely. And of course, you know, with that, you know, you had the I wouldn't say unbundling, I suppose it was
when they
unbundling.
Listed, they basically gave those banks the shares in consideration for their members' rights, so to speak.
Absolutely. And all around the world. So it's been a wonderful wealth creation apparatus over many, many years. So what's happened now, as you rightly say, they now have got their technology embedded in smartphones. They've got them in Apple and others. So they're still doing exactly what they always did, but in a virtual space.
So let's give another practical example. When you use an Uber, you have to have scanned the card, and then the payment is all seamless, and you think this is marvelous because you go across the world and you just pop up your Uber app and you're off.
Yes.
And it all goes back home via the system. But Visa is making money because it's switching that transaction. It's making money also probably on the currency conversion. And it's got its own arrangements with the banks who are happy to have that go through their systems.
That's right. So as I say, they have been able to keep ahead of the pack because they understand what is changing within the technological sphere. And it's a real go-go company.
Secure online payments on the web as well. When you use them to buy something from Nike.com or Amazon or Takealot.com, it's all there. Let's have a look at the share chart, because you'll see this is a handsome looking chart. I mean, that is what you want to see with a share price. Starts on the bottom left corner and proceeds upwards to the right. That is a very, very good chart, and it's good that way because it's consistently delivered. So it looks fairly expensive at a 30 price to earnings ratio. Just two things that are happening right now. The one is that the Chinese government, which used to have its own little Union Pay for its own bank's cards, it's now allowing MasterCard and Visa to come in, so that's a plus. The European business, they're buying out the banks that still own Visa Europe, so it's really becoming global now. There doesn't seem to be any obstacle to further growth, and it's not just credit cards, it's also debit cards, right?
Yep, and of course the debit card thing, that's very important. So you're taking people that might not otherwise be able to qualify, you know, for a credit card, but hey, you can give them a debit card where they can't spend more than they've actually got. So and that's an important point, because they cover the entire spectrum, from the low end of the spectrum right up to the top with their Visa Infinity card. So it's incredible how.
And we know that a lot of people still use cash. I don't know, there's something like 85% of transactions globally are still done through cash. So the opportunity to get the transaction costs down, but to scale up is really there. Okay, so even though it's expensive, we own this, I own this, we're keen to have it in the hot stocks portfolio. Are you hot on it as well?
Very hot.
Very hot. Good. Excellent.